Hello, friends. Good morning to Ayya Khemavamsi, who just left Empty Cloud Monastery and is now in Thailand and is joining us this morning to share some words of Dhamma. Ayya Khemavamsi is from Nirodharam Monastery, so you have probably met her online virtually here on our channel last week when she was visiting Empty Cloud Monastery. And I'm Ayya Soma, and to my left is Ayya Pravavara, who's spending the Vasa at Empty Cloud Monastery. And so this morning we will be talking about the 10 subjects for frequent recollection by one who has gone forth, so by a monastic, but also there's an open invitation for any layperson who wants to practice a little bit more deeply and can actually welcome a lot of these recollections in their life. But before we proceed, maybe we can start by paying homage to our original teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, the reason why we're gathered here today. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, Ayya, would you like to lead this morning's conversation?
Yeah, sure. So today, dear friends, we have the opportunity to discuss a topic chosen for us by Ayya Khemavamsi, which is the 10 subjects for frequent recollection, by one who has gone forth. But as Ayya Soma has said, you know, we can all apply these recollections, these guidance, teachings to our own lives and see how we can make use of them. So let's begin by actually chanting these recollections together. And Ayya Soma and I will chant the recollections in Pali and also in English. And we'll go line by line so you can hear the Pali and then the translation of each of these recollections in turn. Handamayam pavajita binapacha vekana patang banamase.
Dasame bhikkhave
Dhamma pavajitena binam pacha vekita bhagatamedasa. There are 10 Dhammas which should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. What are these 10? Oevaniya Piyaju Bhagato I am no longer living according to worldly aims and values. This should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Arapatipata me jivikati pajitena my very life is sustained through the gifts of others. This should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Anyo me akapo karaniyo Tilpa vajitena abhinam pachawe kitabam. I should strive to abandon my former habits. This should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Kachinuko me atasilato na upawatati tipavajitena abhinam pachavekitam. Does regret over my conduct arise in my mind? This should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Kachinuko Brahmachari Selatorna Upawadanti Bhajitena Binam Pachawe Kitabam. Should my spiritual companions find fault with my conduct, this should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Sabehi me piyehi manapehi nanabawo vinabawo vajitena vinam. All that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise, will become separated from me. This should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Kama sakomi kama dayada Kama yoni kama bandhu kama patisarano yam kama karisami kalayanam vapapa kama tasadayadu pavisami tipabajitena vinnam Pachawe Kitabam. I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of my karma, related to my karma, abide supported by my karma. Whatever karma I shall do, for good or for ill, all that I will be. This should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Katam Bhuta Samerati Indipavi Tipatati Tipalajitena Abhinam Pachawe Kitabam. The days and nights are relentlessly passing. How well am I spending my time? This should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Kachinuko sunyagare aviramami tipabajitena pachawe kitabam. Do I delight in solitude or not? This should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Atinu kome uttari manusasama Adhyana viseso adhikato soham Achime kale brahmachari hiputo namangupavisami pavajitenam avinnam pachawe kitabam. Has my practice borne fruit with freedom or insight? So that at the end of my life I might not feel ashamed when questioned by my spiritual companions. It should be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. Imeko bhikkhave dasadhamma pavajitena adhina kitabhati. These are the 10 Dhammas to be reflected upon again and again by one who has gone forth. So there we have, in this beautiful chant, the 10 subjects for frequent recollection. And it's really lovely to hear them in a chanted form because we can take in slowly considering each of them. And of course, we do this chant quite frequently. So we get to consider, how am I doing with each of these 10 aspects? How can I relate them to my experience as a monastic or as a human being? So I'd like to take the opportunity to invite our dear friend all the way over from Thailand, Ayya Khemavamsi, if you would like to begin with some reflections on these 10 subjects.
Thank you very much, Ayya Soma and Ayya Brahmavara. The reason why I chose this one because in Nirodharam, Bhikkhuni Monastery, Pra Ajahn Nandayani told us to chant this sutra like every morning in the morning puja. So I quite, I cannot think of any topic. So I think this one is, good for the monastics as well. And as you said, good for the lay people as well. If they, learn and compare and then take benefit of this sutra. Here is the 10 subject for frequent recollection, right? There's some parts that is just the same as the 5 subjects, right? That about I'm the owner of the karma, heir to my karma. But this one, it's interesting because it's about the self-reflection that I think is important for us all, for the monastic and for the lay people as well, to be able to self-reflect oneself, like not every day, but frequently, right? The first one, so we're gonna, talk in order. Okay. So the first one, the Buddha said there are 10 Dhammas, right, that should be reflected upon again and again. The first one is I am no longer living according to worldly aims and values. But for this translation from the Sutra Central, right? I think this one, a person, no, this one. I cannot find. Oh, I have become casteless, right?
Mm.
So now as a monastic, that the one who has gone forth, so they have to know that, okay, who are we now, right? That we no longer living according to the worldly aims or what we used to as a householder. So we now as a monks, as a nuns, as a monastic, so we have to know who we are. Just like for the lay people, they have to know who they are and they have to act accordingly. Right? This is the first one that we should reflect upon again and again, that we are the monastics and what we should do and what we should behave, right? The second one is my very life is sustained through the gifts of others, or the we live dependent on others, right? For the pindapata, for the food, and for everything that they offer to us. So we have to remind ourselves that we depend on other people, so we don't be needy, greedy, or picky. Like whatever they give us, okay, that's for the how we survive, not for the pleasure, not for the beautification, the thing that we pray before we have a meal, right? So if we recollect this over and over, then we tend to live with a santuti, where santuti, with the contentment with what we, get from the lay people. So I think this is good for the lay people to consider, to have the self-reflection as well, that people in the community have to live, like with each other, have to help and support each other. So if you know that you cannot live alone in the society, in the world, you have to have a bond, have a relationship with other people. So you tend to have more compassion, more loving kindness, or things like that. That kind of good qualities. So to be able to self-reflect as monastic, then you decrease the need, decrease the like the being picky, and for the lay people, you can benefit of this as well, from this as well. The third one is I should strive to abandon my former habits, right? For the monastic, of course, like when you are a lay person, you can act, or you can, have your own habits, and you just said like, I'm used to this. I'm this kind of person. Sometimes it's not a good quality that you have, but you just say like, okay, this is like the old habit that I'm accustomed to this. But once you become the one who has gone forth, or once you become the monastic, you have to know that you have to know what is the bad qualities in the past, and you should like get rid of the bad qualities and cultivate the wholesome qualities instead. So you have to know like be able to compare, like, okay, this is not the life that I used to lead in the past. It's not the life of the lay people, but now I know who I am, I know what I should do, and the behavior should be different from, that of the whole householders. And Prajanandayani used to like stress upon this one, that once you know that you are a monk, you are a nun, you are a samaneri, samanera, the behavior should be different, and there's something more, like of the good aspect that you should cultivate, you should improve yourself. And the fourth one, does regret over my conduct arise in my mind, or as the translation of I think the Pante Tanisaro, he used this word like, can I fault myself with regard to my virtue? So this is good because you can reflect upon what like the unwholesome quality that has arisen in the past, and do you have any regret about it? If you know that, okay, the anger arised in the past, okay, that was the anger. Now I know, but just don't cling to it, like, like suffer because of it. Just know that, okay, still have the anger, still have the greed, still have the delusion or ignorance, and that's it. And then you have like self examination, self evaluation, and then like, okay, then you can improve to the better, something like that. This is the fourth one, which the lay people can make use of this as well. That you have to know, like, okay, that action in the past, like an hour ago, is not so good, but there's a way to improve yourself. Then you should cultivate more mindfulness, so you don't like be angry so easily, just like you did in the past, something like that. The fifth, could my spiritual companions find fault with my conduct? Or other translation, he used the word, can my knowledgeable fellows in the holy life on close examination fault me with regard to my virtue? This is important. It is the importance of having the Kalyana Mitta, the good friend, but here the knowledgeable one as well. So you have someone as a good friend who is wiser than you, who has like the more wisdom of the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha's teaching, and you allow him or her to fault you, to give the feedback to you. And another quality that you have to have is to allow people to give you feedback and to improve accordingly. So this one, I think the lay people can make use of this as well. Like have a good friend who is wiser than you, who know more, and who have precepts, who have like knowledge in the Dhamma, to have or to lead a happier life than you, like, and allow him or her to give feedback. And then don't be angry if someone give feedback to you. Just open your mind and then, okay, I trust you, you're wiser than me, and then try to improve yourself. And number 6, I will grow different, separate from all that is dear and appealing to me. Or another translation is, all that is mine, beloved, and pleasing will become otherwise, will become separated from me. This is important because every day you have to experience with the separation or with the irritation or anger from what you think, okay, it should be like this. This is what I like. It should be like this, should be like the same forever, but it just become otherwise. So if you frequently recollection, self-reflect this over and over again and again, then you tend to let go of it easily. Like, okay, this is normal. This is the nature. This is the Dhamma. If I cling to something that is dear and, like beloved, or you think that this is mine and hold on to it, cling to it, and then the suffering arise, right? But once you know that, okay, things that is dear to me will become otherwise, then you tend to let go of it more easily. And number 7, I am the owner of my actions, heir to my actions, born of my actions, related through my actions, and have my action as my arbitrator. Whatever I do, for good or for evil, to that I will fall heir. This one is the same as the 5 recollections. So when you reflect upon this again and again, and then you be mindful in the actions, that you do, whatever you do, good or bad, you're the owner of the, it's going to be the result that you have to encounter now and in the future. So be careful in what you choose to do. Kamma is mean actions, right? And with the intention. So be mindful in what the intention that you like, okay, now I'm going to do good or do bad. Be mindful because, yeah, you're the owner of the actions and heir to the actions that you did. Number 8, the days and nights are passing. How well am I spending my time? This is both monastic and lay people can reflect on, right? It reminds me of the Pali word, kanovo ma upachaka, right? Don't let the moment pass you by. Days and nights, just like the clock that is ticking, and just, time pass all the time. What are you doing now? Good or bad, worthwhile, worth the time or not? And what you become as the day and nights pass by, you just have to ask yourself, because it's easy to, like get lost in the times and everything that you do every day as a routine or things like that. But if you have the self-reflection and ask yourself like, okay, how well am I spending my time? Is it worth the time or not? Good or bad? Because whatever you do, good or bad, you have to be, like add to your actions. So get back to number 7, right? And number 9, do I delight in an empty dwelling or do I delight in solitude or not? This is, I think, especially for the monastics, right? The one who has gone forth, that you have to remind yourself that, okay, now I'm maybe too close to someone else. I love to chat all the time, or do you still delight in solitude or not? And you have have the time for your own to meditate and to train the mind, things like that. And number 10, has my practice borne fruit with freedom or insight so that at the end of my life, I don't feel ashamed when questioned by my spiritual companions? This is good as well. Like think of, at the end of your life, if someone asks you like, okay, when you ordained as the monastic, how well did you do? How well have you done? And then do you regret in what you've done or not? Maybe I'm too lazy. Maybe I should have done this more. But if you do things proper, if you do things like, okay, this is worth the time, this is worth the life, this life, you won't regret at the end of your life, right? So just practice and train the mind and take every opportunity, every time to, cultivate wholesome qualities and get rid, like don't cling to that. And it's important for the lay people as well. Just think of the last day of your life, the last breath, At the end of your life, will you feel ashamed of your actions? Will you feel like, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should talk to this person like this, like that? If you think that, okay, I think I might regret of my actions, then you should change yourself. So these 10 things is the thing that is not just useful for the monastic, but useful for the lay people to, have a self-reflection. It's good to have be able to use like a mirror, just like the Parihana Sutta, right? Parihana Sutta that the Sariputta Thera, right? That he talked about, we should have like, not we should have like, it's just like we have the mirror, like a male or female to have a mirror that is clear, then they should check themselves in front of the mirror, like, okay, do I have any dust, any blemish or something like that? And if you have any blemish or things on your face, and then you should get rid of it. So it's good to have like a mirror to reflect yourself that, is it a good thing that I've done? Is it like the right view? Am I still in the path to the, awakening, to the end of suffering, something like that? So I think this is the thing that I would love to talk about, Any more comments about this?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Ayya Khemavamsi, for this lovely reflection on the 10 subjects for frequent recollection. And really, there's a lot there, isn't there? So we can, I recommend for everyone to look up and to spend more time, considering and contemplating these teachings. And I think actually all of them, if we really consider, could be relevant to our lay friends too. You can kind of do the slight consideration of slight differences in our lifestyles, yes, but also see where each and every one of these points can be of relevance to you. And as Ayya Khemavamsi was saying, often bringing in, this is something for the lay people to reflect upon as well. So yeah, thank you, Ayya. Anything you'd like to add, Ayya Soma?
Actually, well, first and foremost, thank you so much, Ayya Khemavamsi. That was a beautiful sharing. And I actually was curious to hear from both of you venerables the first recollection. So I'm no longer part of the social hierarchy, which is one of my favorite recollections, actually. Just this reminder for us monastics that, yeah, we're outcasts, that we're mendicants, So the terms I feel that we use these days to translate bhikkhu and bhikkhuni are always so not actually accurate, because what it really means, bhikkhu and bhikkhuni, just means mendicant. So someone who goes on alms, right? So there's really like a sense of of humbleness within the word. But I feel like throughout, so with different translations, we tend to make it higher and higher, and we have lots of different titles sometimes. Also, when we, start accumulating vasas, etc. Oh, I saw it. There's a friend, a little friend.
There's a friend here.
Hello. See, another black monastic cat, like our black monastic cat. Great. There's no monastery without a black cat. Yeah, so anyway, this is one of my favorite recollections because it has so many different implications. But how would you translate that for lay people, or obviously just for the fact of being lay people instead, in fact, within the social hierarchy? So how would that translate, or how would you suggest for it to be translated?
Any thoughts on that, Ayya Khemavamsi? Yeah, it's very good question.
Very good question.
Yeah. I could say, I think it's most definitely something we can allow to be relevant for ourselves, each one of us, because there is the very natural human inclination, isn't there, to create structures and to have a sense of, the defilement really of conceit comes in so many ways into our lives. And so the sense of better than, worse than, equal to, and the sort of ways in which people like to have status, to have a sort of sense of being acknowledged for who we are, and for our gifts or our position, or even the length of time that we've been doing something. And it's really natural that we have these inclinations, and that we sort of feel a sense of uplift when people praise us and lift us up in some way. So this is all completely natural, but it's something to be very aware of. And, it's fascinating how actually even in monastic life, we have all of these energies playing out, and it's not even particularly deconstructed. It's actually constructed in monastic life too, that people have titles and accolades and positions, and there's hierarchies. and ecclesiastical authorities in the Buddhist world, as in every other religion. And so this is just very interesting for us to observe, because as Ayya says, the word bhikkhu bhikkhuni means beggar. It's we're the lowest strata of society. That's where the Buddha placed himself, as a penniless wanderer, an itinerant, one could say. And that's where he placed the Sangha, the monastic Sangha. So that's something really worth remembering. So we have this strong encouragement towards humility. And it gives us the opportunity then, isn't it? People can relate that when you're at the bottom of the heap, you have a much broader view. You can see the whole construct. When you're at the top, it's extremely difficult because one becomes blinkered. You look down and it's an amorphous mass and you don't really know what's there anymore after a while. But when you're actually at the bottom looking up, you can see what's going on. And so we can be very grateful to the Buddha for putting us in this position, and try not to be anything other than that, if we can. And if other people try to make us, with gain, praise, honor, and renown, try to make us something other than bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, then we want to be able to very quickly see that danger and not identify with any of that. So for lay people as well, look at that. We have the same kind of mentality. We have the same inclinations, and society creates these structures for us. Well, we create these structures for each other. We have to take responsibility for that. There's no them out there. It's us. And so we create these structures. And so it's very important, actually, as people who are striving for liberation, to be able to see and to deconstruct and to let go of the sense of identification with any kind of position, And it's very easy to do that, actually, when one is a bhikkhu bhikkhuni, when one is a beggar, when one is a homeless person, when one is a refugee. It's very easy to let go, because we don't want to be identified as something lesser or something that society may have prejudices around, sadly. But when we're in a very high position, we're super successful, we're doing very well, be careful, not to develop any kind of sense of self around that. It's more attractive. The sense of superiority sits more comfortably in the human heart, but it's a construct, it's a delusion, it's painful, ultimately. And so I think Ayya's comment is really helpful for us, and we can consider this reflection deeply. It's something to keep bringing in again and again. Is there any pride here? Is there any conceit? Is there any sense of being inferior? Is there a sense of being superior? Or even is there an attachment to the sense of equality? We can strive for good and even and respectful relationships with all beings, but we don't want to get attached even to the sense of equality. So let's keep looking for that and investigating deeply. Thank you so much, Ayya, for that question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ayya Khemavamsi, anything else you'd like to add on this particular topic?
That the Ayya so much. I remember one thing that the Prajanandayani said. You just, whatever people name you, it's just like the Panyati. I don't know. I think it's in Pali. It's just someone that just label you, but it's not real. It's just something that people label you, like maybe give you like superiority, or just vice versa. But you just know that it's not real. It's just the label. But what you do is you have to like know what's inside, like who you are, and things that people like name or label you, it's just not that important I don't know, like it's not gonna last forever. It's anicca and dukkha and anatta. Yeah.
Yes.
And I agree with you that, like for someone who praise us, as a monastic, it's very dangerous, for the praise, for the everything that, like even especially in Thailand, it's hard for some people who have like high praise or something like that. Sometimes they just, get lost in that, like, so it's very dangerous. So we have to, as the Bhikkhu Puttathasa, Han Puttathad Bhikkhu say that stay low. You just let the Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni just let the beggar just stay low. Don't, like be so high. Don't get lost in that, praise and things like that.
Excellent. Thank you. And we have Sud. Well, first and foremost, hello to all our lay friends that are watching. Hello to Manal, Jayanta, sorry, John, Bhumika, Kit, Bovan, Karuna, Sud, Richard, Pamela, Edward, Luisa, and Namo Buddhaya. And Sud has a question. Says, Dear Ayya, can you advise how to develop one's virtue without beating oneself up for the shortcomings? Venerable Khemavamsi, would you like to address that? Do you understand what beating oneself?
Not really in beating oneself up for the shortcomings.
Do you want to explain
What is
it?
that?
First language,
I
Venerable.
should attempt to give some other renditions. So, dear, thank you for this great question. How do we develop goodness, Ayya, without sort of punishing ourselves if we're not succeeding? We have an idea, how I should be able to do this, but actually I'm not able to do this straight away. And sometimes I feel, I'm not doing well, this sense. How do we avoid punishing ourselves if we're not doing as well as we think we should in developing virtue? Is that?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, from our. And for the suit that asked this question, I think if you beat yourself up for the shortcoming, like from this, that means that you practice with desire, with greed, right? With the expectation. And that expectation is another, interpretation of the lobha, right? That means you have lobha, the greed, the desire. If you don't achieve that, and then you feel like dukkha, suffering. So this is not the right, way to develop the virtue. But to develop the virtue is for me, is to follow the Eightfold Path. Like what is the right view, the right action, the right speech, and then to the right concentration. But keep in mind that it's just like to I don't know in English, like just like you have like the jar, and then you just a drop of water. You just like try to collect, right? You use the word collect, right? Yeah. The drop, each drop. You just do and practice, and then cultivate the wholesome qualities and get rid of the unwholesome qualities. Have the self-reflection, things like that. But you just do like continuously without expectation that I should do this, I should do that, I should reach this level, I should be just like other person. It's not like that. You just have the right effort, cultivate wholesome qualities, get rid of unwholesome qualities, and then stay in the path of the Noble Eightfold Path, and don't do with the greed or with the desire or with the ignorance or delusion. I think, did I answer the question? I'm not sure.
Yes, I think another thing that I might add is also the encouragement of the Buddha to do the practice of sila and usati. So really just bringing up and welcoming all the silas that we're actually holding, all the sila that we have developed, and really dousing our mind and heart with the good qualities that we have, and patting ourselves on the shoulders. Like, I haven't killed any sentient being today. That's great, Ayya. You haven't either. That's wonderful.
I don't think so.
And I think Ayya Khemavamsi hasn't killed anyone either. It's just really incredible. Just recollecting, see, we're all like smiling already. And it's incredible how beautiful, like the heart opens up immediately. Or that we haven't stolen anything. Right? So like, it's just so beautiful to keep the sila. So then we also have a bit of a perspective. Maybe we have a memory. I definitely do. I have a memory of back in the day before I started my Buddhist practice, of where I actually was killing sentient beings, not humans, but I was killing insects. So that was like, that's like a little bit cringe. But now it's like, oh, it's quite great. Yeah, it's beautiful. So then we also see, we have a sense, an understanding that it's experiential of the beauty of practicing the Dhamma, of training ourselves in sila, and how that automatically comes into something that is really enriching and beautiful and supporting for the heart and the mind. And so the mind stops going towards, oh, but that is not very developed, and instead goes like, oh wow, look at what I've accomplished. I remember that mind that was so irritable and so full of hatred towards those mosquitoes, and now, wow, that quality of the mind has completely disappeared. It's incredible. Now this current mind, this current heart could not even think, could not even conceive the idea of killing a mosquito. How wonderful, how beautiful, oh, how lovely. And so, yes, this process of sila nusati just really nourishes the heart and removes the space for self-criticism, I think. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Absolutely. That's really encouraging, Ayya. Yeah, and what I'm hearing from both of you, and I can only echo, is let's focus on all the good that's being done, all the good efforts that are being made. And in that way, I notice myself, I definitely benefit more from encouragement than from blame or judgment, harsh critical judgments. When one is encouraged with whatever one has, then, and we can do this for ourselves, of course, then we tend to want to lift ourselves up and try harder. And it's not like a huge effort. It's more like, yes, of course, this is something I want to continue. So absolutely, I think to notice also, when we're beating ourselves up, just to see that and then to appreciate, how does that feel? Ow, that feels really uncomfortable and defeating, self-defeating and uninspiring, and it doesn't make me feel more like practicing, it makes me feel less like practicing, possibly, so a bit dangerous. And so to notice that inclination, that tendency, and just to let it go, bring in some loving kindness and some noting of sila nusati. How have I been doing, and how much progress has been made? Sadhu to that.
Wonderful. And our lay friends are watching but are very quiet with the answers. Ronald says hello, so thanks for the answers. So unless there is another question that pops up, or maybe Ayya Pramavana wants to ask something also to Ayya Khemavamsi.
Oh, I've got one question I would love to ask Ayya Khemavamsi. It's just out of interest. Ayya, it's wonderful that you do this recollection every day, and I want to ask you, how is it, how do you notice the mind relating to these 10 subjects? Do you find that occasionally one will particularly stand out, or does the mind sort of latch onto or make much of particular ones? How is it for you?
For this one, right? It's just, at first, it's just kind of like a routine for us all as, people in Nirodha Ram, that we have to like just chant every day, every morning. But when you chant every day and then you remember it, right? And throughout the day, maybe just some of it just pop up, like I don't know, in English translation, just like this one, like the days and nights are passing, how well am I spending my time? Just like that. Is it the thing that I should have done? Or like Kanoboma Upachaka, don't let the moment pass by. Is it the right thing to do now? Doing good or doing bad? Or this is like the unwholesome quality or something like that. So to be able to chant it and to recite it every day, it's just for the things to remind me. You have to be mindful that is this the right manner, is this the proper thing that you should do or not as a monastic. For some people, like when I was like newly ordained, so maybe some behavior is not the right one for the monastic thing or something like that. So we just like, oh, this is not the good behavior. The behavior should be different from this. So this is, I don't know that I answer your question or not, but it's beneficial for me to reflect about this every day, because it just gives you like a reminder, and don't go out of the way, something like that. Just like, is it the thing that you should do? Is it worth your time? Is it like in the Noble Eightfold Path? Should I, or will I regret what I've done? Something like that. So it's just like to be mindful, like, okay, this is what you do. This is what you should do. This is like the life that you have, chosen or something like that. And I think this one can work for the lay people. For the first one, I think like you have to know who you are and act accordingly. Just like for the householder, for the lay people, when you work as a teacher, then you have to have a responsibility to teach people. But when you go back to your home, you're not the teacher anymore. So don't teach your husband, don't teach your sister or something like that, but you put another hat on. This is me as a mother. What should I do? So I think it's useful, and especially for the monastics as well, because have things to reflect on. And at that time, like I just searched about the sutra that I mentioned earlier, about Parihana Sutra. The Venerable Sariputta, he said that the bhikkhu should be skilled in the ways of his own mind. It can be related to this sutra. The Venerable Sariputta said, it's just like a woman and a man would look at his or her own facial reflection in a clean and bright mirror. If they see any dust or blemish there, they will make an effort to remove it. But if they don't see any dust or blemish there, they will be glad about it, and their wish fulfilled, they will think, how fortunate for me that I'm cleaned. So too, self-examination is very helpful for a bhikkhu or bhikkhuni, samanera, samaneri, everyone, to grow in wholesome qualities. So yeah, this 10 subject is very good to self-reflect, to be able to see yourself in the mirror, and then this is good or not, this is bad or not, okay, which path should I lead, something like that.
Excellent. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Wonderful. Well, I think we could probably end with these beautiful notes. Thank you so much, Ayya Khemavamsi, for sharing these words of Dhamma this morning. And thank you, Ayya Brahmavara, also for sharing the Dhamma and for facilitating the whole talk.
Thanks to you too, Ayya Sema, for being with us. I know everyone will be very pleased to see you.
Been trying to be a little bit in hiding.
I dragged you out of hiding.
It's awesome. And all right, well, we'll see you all. Well, this evening, actually, there will be a blast from the past, a recording from Ajahn Jyotipalu when he was here a few months ago and led a weekend program. So you'll have a recording for all the friends who weren't here present at Empty Cloud Monastery that want to benefit from his teachings. And then tomorrow morning, Ayya Brahmavara and Bhante Sanatana Vihari will be sharing Dhamma talk here, some Dhamma. So there will be opportunities to ask questions live. And then in the evening, anything that you want to ask about Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and Buddhism in general, is the opportunity for monk chat with both a female monk and a male monk at an Empty Cloud Monastery. So we can end this morning session with 3 sadhus. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May you be well and happy. May all good things come to you.